Probably, do you mind start with telling us a little bit about like who you are and what do you do?
Okay, my name is Shunro Yoshida, and now I live in Japan, but on Kyushu Island, which is I guess west of Big Island of Japan. It's not the Honshu, the big island, but it's in the western side. And I live in Aso area, which is has a big volcano. So. I moved here for 15 years ago.
Wait,
Um,
sorry. I'm really sorry. That's my cat. I'm sorry.
yeah.
So,
And I used to live near Tokyo, but now I live in a very countryside in the mountains. And I just came back I work in the mountains, like planting trees and those kind of stuff. And and right now Right now, I live in a uh s- half self-builded house, and the energy here is 100% renewable energy. We call it's an off-grid system, so I don't use the electricity company or gas company. So uh, and I wanted to live like that.
I'm really
uh,
sorry.
for a long time, and now I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that for nearly 15 years.
Yeah. And I remember you said you started working on transition in your own town also. You mentioned that, right? You started
Mm.
looking at like how do we like preserve seeds and growing
Yes,
vegetables.
yes.
And I'm
Hmm.
wondering like from the point where you started the transition town to the point where you are right now, what has been some of the major changes?
Okay, I started transition when first of all I went through a permaculture course in 2004, and my colleagues was living in Findhorn in UK, which is an eco village, and found it out. He he found Rob Hopkins, and he was interested in transition. That was maybe 2006 or something like that, and he asked me to come to UK 1 week conference called Positive Energy Conference. So I went there, and there's so many guest speakers like Rob Hopkins, Richard Heinberg, Joanna Macy, and a lot of many famous speakers. And that's how I met Rob Hopkins. And my permaculture colleagues also went there too, like three, including my friend who was living in Findhorn. Four people attended that conference, and then um, we said we wanted to do transition after he came back to Japan, and in that same year, 2008. So, um, and I was already getting ready to quit the job that I was doing. So it was a good timing. And when I heard about transition, that this was the kind of work that I wanted to do. So um, in that same spring, I quit my job and I started we started transition in Japan. So we built or formed a transition national hub, transition Japan, and also at the same time we started our initiatives, three initiatives. The members of that transition Japan, where we lived, we started our own initiatives at the same time.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that 2008 you were in like the conference, like the permaculture group where you met Rob Hopkins. I believe
Mhm.
that's probably like a very early years of the transition movement itself, because
Mhm.
as I remember, it's the transition town Totnes was founded in 2005, 2006. So
Yes.
maybe at that moment, what like struck you the most about the transition that made you think that this is probably the way out, that you want to bring this back to Japan, create your own transition group?
Well, since I was learning permaculture, and I was also worried about the whole earth, the how the nature is destroyed, and also about the energy. And I was living in near Tokyo, so I was worried about my own lifestyle, and I wanted to live in the countryside, close to nature. And I was thinking about that, but um, I said I thought to myself that I wanted to go into the countryside, and I want to stop the industrial world or material world. But if I do that, that won't be such a big movement. It's just a small part. So when I met Rob Hopkins, um, um, that was the exact thing, exact movement I wanted to do. You can do it where you live and start small, but it's not like going to a group that um saying you want to protest or you want to, change the world, something very big, but it's like more living where you live, but you gradually change your lifestyle and also have your friends and all other people involving. Um, First, maybe slowly to live their change their lifestyle a little bit by little. So that was so I don't know, that was so very close to me that oh, this is my style and I wanted to do this. So um I think it struck me that oh, this was the thing that I waited or I wanted to do, because after quitting the job, I didn't know what to do or how can I, do the activities. But it was the same right time and the right place.
And I think you just mentioned like sometimes the thing that we can do is change our lifestyles, but sometimes it can feel like too little. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering, like, what did you do like to start this, like, to start organizing a group to like have community working together towards this? Is it hard at the beginning to really empower people to get together to do this?
Actually, it wasn't hard because where I lived was like an hour from Tokyo, but we had pretty good nature, small mountains, and we were living near the sea. And I had friends that was like how do you say, environmental activist, or they were very curious or worried about the the nature also, and we were doing elections. Uh, c- uh, how do you say, the mayor of the p- um, we selected or we raised the mayor that was more protecting the nature, and we worked very hard together to get that mayor elected, and we won. So we had I had already so many friends with the same I don't know, issue, or so first I talked to my friends, like those kind of things, activity we did together, and every let me see, every week we got together and had dinner party, and we talked about what we wanted to do, and we did that for 3 months, just doing that, and then no events or nothing outside to the outside, so it was very interesting.
Yeah, but I feel like it is very impressive. I think you said that they are now like the transition practitioners. They are active in around like 16 communities in Japan. I think that's really impressive. And you have all the different sorts of projects going on. And I was also listening to one of your sessions in the transition network. There's some town in Japan that have their own local currency, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, well, actually, after that initiative we started in near Tokyo. After 3 months, we said, "Oh, we haven't done anything towards outside, and let's make a vi big event." And we um, invited 100 people, categorizing head, heart, and hands. So those kind of we categorized and we balanced, and we um, invited 100 people to the transition event. And I guess the people who was living where I lived had a very good sense of how do you say, they knew what the problem, or they were feeling there was a problem. And we did open space technology, and with 100 people, and all of a sudden with there was like 4 or 5 working groups at that moment after that meeting, because they were talking, and there was like energy group, there was uh local currency group, or uh there was about, I think, four working groups started after that meeting. They said, we wanted to do this, and we will stand up and start this group. So it was very, very energizing and very surprising that it went so well.
Yeah. I think like the transition Japan has started for like 17, 16 years, I think.
Mhm.
And I believe do you think it's getting easier or harder to like expand the transition work? Because easier, as you mentioned, there are now more people aware of the climate crisis. They care about this and they want to know what they can do in their community to change it. But probably it's getting harder
Yeah.
because what's going on like politically and also the social
Yes.
norms that people have in their mind. Do you think it's easier or harder?
No, I think it's both. We have the politically, and also since Japan is the um, economics is not so good, so everybody's so busy, So we need a room for a little bit, how do you say, room for a little bit to relax, to think about what we want to do. But if we're so busy working, worrying about money, I think a lot of people are not just looking out for that. They know that what's there's a problem, but they're just trying to make the living, I guess. So it's very hard right now also. But at the same time, young people are also looking that they want to start a community and they know uh the society is not going well for them. There's no like bright future that they can see. So there's so it's that's a very good big chance. And we've been going like up and down. So it's not like we have about more than 70 initiatives in Japan, but I think there's about maybe 140 or 50 initiatives was started, but it doesn't go. In 16 years, they stopped. A lot of initiatives stopped, and I guess right now maybe three or four initiatives we we gain or they start new initiatives. So still, it's not really fast, but we were talking in our group that of course we want to number the initiatives more, you know, but to maintain or take care of the initiatives that is already out there, I think we should communicate and talk together more and um, like have good communication with them is more important than trying to increase the initiatives in Japan. Um, so that's the reality right now. But I have colleagues in Transition Japan Hub doing at the same like 14, 15, 13, 14, 15 years with me. So uh, it's so encouraging that, we don't get paid. We work in other places, but nobody gets paid, but they still have energy they have so enthusiastic to do transition movement. It's so amazing. And I feel I'm also very thankful about them. So it doesn't have to be transition town movement. It's also like, young people against uh the what do you say? The climate crisis. There's movement. So I respect them all and I try to work together with them. So, uh, but I feel respect and thankful to the people who is doing this together.
And also, I'm wondering, like you mentioned, like there are of course major ups and downs within these many years of the doing transition Japan. So, what do you think is the thing? Is the like the pivotal thing that binds the community together, and particularly in times of challenges?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, we had so many earthquake or natural disasters every year, but in 2011, there was a very big earthquake the Tohoku big earthquake, and also the nuclear plant exploded in Fukushima. That was astonishing for everybody in Japan, and I think we were still doing transition at that time, and um, but at the same time, we had a community where we live, so we got together and talk about what can we do. And some, people went to Tohoku to, help volunteering, um, sending, clothes or food or something like that. And also others, they knew about transition, but they said they wanted to do transition where they live. But at the same time, we were so angry about the nuclear plant explosion. Uh, Including myself, we protested about that. Doing demos, and some transition initiatives put their name, transition whatever, and protested doing the demo. And we discussed about that. Some people said that's not transition, and it was very confusing. Or um, I don't know. It was we were kind of shaked so much. But I think that moment was very tough for us, but also a lot of people changed about what they were thinking about the social environment and everything. They were looking back, what did they really want to do about their job and everything. So it shook everybody. But it was a very tough moment, but it was also um a good chance for transition movement too.
Yeah. And I think like I remember you mentioned earlier that you don't want that because the transition is an English phrase, it's like a foreign word. You don't want it to be like a foreign concept, like transferred to Japan because you have your own transition word in Japanese as well. So I'm wondering what kind of commonalities do you see in different traditions around the world, tradition in Japan and tradition elsewhere, or is it possible to find a lot of common grounds, or what are some of the differences between these groups did you see because they are like planted in different culture and different background?
Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. And Um, in 2017, I went to Italy, Santorso. There was a national hub meeting. So I went to that once to that meeting, and there was just about 50 people, maybe from like 20 countries, and we gathered, and it was so interesting. But um, you know, the first day I went there, I saw so many people who have the same mind as like us. So I was so amazed, or I don't know how to say, I was shocked. And I saw 50 people there, and all from different countries. But we, it was so easy for communication. We know each other already just being there. And I was so, how do you say, shocked or gifted just seeing that. And that was a pretty big moment for me, just doing transition for uh maybe 9 years at the time. And it was a very big gift for me because I was so uh strengthened. I was encouraged, also felt so warm. And we have so many things in common, and we're not just looking at the book and trying to do the same thing in our country, but actually we are doing a lot of things similar. And I guess that's just natural behavior, and it's not just trying to be strict in transition. Uh, In transition, you say you can do anything, it's kind of very free, but we think very similarly, and also so many people are working very hard and have the warm heart, and um, that was that's one of the biggest strength about transition. There's some I don't know, one heart in transition, and we share that heart. So uh that's a how do you say, powerful powerful tool, or a powerful um thing that we have. So whenever you go and you meet a transition in other countries, uh I'm always surprised, or um encouraged when we meet.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Like, I think one of the things that also struck me most about the whole transition movement is that there are about like more than 1,000 communities around the world. They are self-organizing, but I do think there's like very like large common ground they share. Like, it's about hope, it's about imagination, it's about like what is said in the front page, like the community coming together to reimagine and rebuild the future. I think this is something that's resonates with almost all of the tradition groups, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's
Yes.
probably like on a larger scale, like to prevent like a different group to work in a bubble. Where do you think the kind of coalition or collaboration stands in your transition work? Like, how do you think it's really important to build this connection with other groups around the world? Because earlier in the email you mentioned that you're also working with the PCD, the Partnership for
Mhm.
Community
Yes.
Development. So
Hmm.
where do you think this kind of collaboration stands in the transition movement?
Mm. Actually, in Japan, we work with other groups. We don't want to stand alone because, it's too small, and we have a too large issue, I think. So I think around the world, even like in China or Hong Kong or Taiwan, I think we have the same worries, what the issue, big problem is. Um, so I think I, just meeting the people from PCD, they came from Hong Kong and mainland China last year to Japan, and we met. And um, there are so many groups that have the same heart, and they're trying to do something. And so I want to work with them, and it doesn't have to be transition, but if I can be a support to tell about transition, I will be very happy to do that. So uh, right now, it's for me, Asia wasn't so active at the moment, but from last year, I think we had a little bit a good movement, because the book that we published in Japan, and also in Hong Kong, and now in mainland China, I think there are many people who are interested in transition movement. So I'm going. Two of us are going to, I think, Hong Kong and mainland China this year to um, support them.
That's
And
great. Yeah.
yeah, so the Taiwan, we had the International Permaculture conference last year, and we met so many Asian or permaculturalists, and we're trying to get together also in
Yeah.
the West Asia, yeah, no, East Asia countries.
Yeah. And what do you think about like collaborating with the maybe the government? I remember you also mentioned that the transition that you are doing in Japan is kind of independent from the government. I think I understand that because you want
Mhm.
to like have the community or the project that are created for and by the community, so they have the ownership of the thing that they are doing. So are you still thinking in that way?
Yes. I don't know if it's the best way, but um, there's so many ways to, do transition. And if we're really good at, working with the government, we can do that. But if we have a very good energy and time and to do it, it's great. But we have so limited time and energy. Getting support or grant from the government, it's a lot of work too. And maybe you can do something very big and, have a big impact, but if you cannot maintain that for many years, it won't be a big impact. It's just like you know, uh like a fashion day. Some people catches it, but it goes down. So just on our feet, doing our own way and just spreading grassroots. I think it's just suitable for us. So I won't say it's the best, but we're not selecting it. We just have one way that I think this is what we can do. So I'm not saying that's the best way, but I think it suits us very well now.
Right, yeah. And if you are asked to make like assessment of where the transition Japan is at the moment, so what kind of assessment will you make? Probably like what kind of support do you think transition Japan needs for it to develop like bigger and have larger impact?
Hmm. Well, I don't know if it's a bigger or larger impact, but um, for transition Japan, we want more new people or young people um working together with us. I think that's that will strengthening us more. I think we're short-handed by people. Our transition Japan group is about 10 or 12 people right now. And we need, I think, young new people too, have different ideas or skills. Uh, but it's not, I guess, money, but we need that people. And we've been talking about this involving young people. So uh,
Do you think what's the like the most important thing to attract young people? Is it like the idea of like we have hope for the future instead of saying that the future is all doom and gloom, like things like this?
that's very, very difficult because um, a group of people who is pretty much in the late or 40s or 50s and 60s group, young people don't want to be in that that kind of group. So that's also a big hurdle already because we're not saying we're trying to be open, but that's kind of a few few percentage that we have chance already. So we're not saying we're closed or anything, but it's a very big challenge, and you know, mm,
I think
yeah.
like the reality is a little bit like conflicting. Like because I do believe like the young people, they are like the most like the majority of the people who have like the climate anxiety, they are worried about their own future, but they are the ones who are not doing too much in this case.
Where I live in Nassau, I think I have young people really not doing the transition movement, but we have a local currency group here, and we do like markets using just only local currency. In the winter, we don't you have that, but every month we have that market, and so many people, yeah, and young people are coming, and we talk about money, and talk about economics, and maybe one third is very small children also joining, and they also want to start open a market or shop, and that's very interesting. And young people are also coming too.
Yeah, I think it's really great to see like more people are really engaging in the community work. Yeah.
Mhm.
And probably like a bit like the kind of like personal question, because
Mhm.
as I understand, you also took a year off because of burnout. So you step out to the transition Japan for a year. I'm wondering like what do you do like in situation like this, like to prevent burning out or any suggestions for other people who are doing the transition for a really long time?
Well, I think maybe I wasn't burnout 100%, so I thought, oh, there's not much high energy within myself, so I thought, why? And I thought it was a little bit, it was a time for me to like stop a little bit. So if you um, go into a low energy process, I think um, we should, in our members, I think we can talk about if you have that low energy period, we should t talk about it, and you should be uh, facing yourself that you don't work hard, just ignoring that, and you should keep the you should notice about your energy if you're high or low or something like that. And if you're low, you can say you can help. You can say help me. I'm in this low energy, and I think you should talk about that in your community. So
I,
uh, I think that's the one way. I think good way to avoid 100% you know burnout.
yeah. And I think this is pretty much like what you call like pay attention to your inner world. So I
Mhm.
think the inner
Yes.
well like all the transition work is
Mhm.
most of the time is really about.
Mhm.
Yeah. And probably can you take us through like what your typical work day look like during the transition? What do you do in a day?
What do you do in a day?
Yeah. Like maybe a typical transition working day.
Uh, like in meetings, I guess we if we get together, not a Zoom meeting, with the Transition Japan, we we get together once a year, like 2 days, and we go in a camp and we eat together, we cook together, and um we talk, you know, we call it a being meeting, I guess. So it's not that, hey, we're going to have a meeting and we want to talk about what we're going to do we want to do this year, or what's our schedule. Um, that we can do it by Zoom, I guess. And we do that every month, but every once a year we go to a camp together and just relax and also talk about our life and anything. So, and we also invite people who is not in the transition movement. So it's very interesting. We have that kind of camp, and nobody has to set up anything, for a meeting. They don't have to work hard, but it's a very enjoyable I don't know meeting. And we do that every month, once a year.
And
So
what about the location for the meet?
location is near the mountains or very close to the nature.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Like, I'm also wondering, like, what's on what kind of project the Transition Japan is working on at the moment? What's on the agenda?
Well, I guess every we have a Zoom event. It's like once a month. We have like no, we're not doing it every month, but if a new starts, we have them come to a guest and talk about what they want to do or they're doing, and so other initiatives can come and gather. So we also have uh not the transition movement group, but other groups as a guest and talk about what they are doing as an activity. We've been doing that for maybe 2 years. Every month we've been doing that. So that's a project too. And we also have localization day, which um, uh, do you know Nobog Hodge?
Not really.
Not really. She was now she's living in Australia, I think. She's Helena Novak Hodge, who is doing the localization day. She was living in or visiting Ladakh, which is North India, I think, and she wrote a book about uh Ancient Futures, a book about that. And we've been doing that. It's a Zoom one full day event, and we've been doing that, and so many other groups, maybe 10 groups, um, and have like 300 people attending. I think we're doing that also in this June.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Maybe like so far, what do you think is your like the proudest moment of doing the transition work? Are there any like really great like achievements? What you are like proud of the most?
I think it's amazing that we've been doing this for 16 years, and that's what I think the length of that, and also we learned a lot about community, working together. So we have the kind of knowledge of, there's so many challenges within us, but we know a lot of things, how to come over those kind of challenges. And I think we have a very strong bond uh, within our team, and we trust each other about that. Hmm, I think the maybe the proudest result I have, maybe 70 initiatives are we have. We don't know how much the world has been affected by that, but uh I think for doing that for 16 years, I'm very proud of you know, still still be being able to do this and have many friends and members of doing together
Yeah.
this with this movement.
Right. And I think I'm like really impressed with like how big the Transition Japan has grown with different projects and different groups in there. Probably like where do you see Transition Japan go in the near future? Maybe like in the year 2030, where do you see our world is or the Transition Japan is?
Hmm. Um, I'm not sure, but I think there's other movements like young people they want to start community. Um, and last year we did a community leadership program training with Kai Sawyer. He's a permaculturalist and famous in Japan, and Mikae, who's Transition Japan co-leader. And this year we're also doing that program training, online training from March. And I think I don't know what will be doing, but I think we can be helpful and be supportive about people trying to start communities. I think we have a very good experience. Um, you know, all the not the rules, but all the hints, good knowledge about you know, not to be, have a burnout or we have conflict, but how to prevent conflict or solve conflict, all those kind of things. I think we can be supportive, not
Yeah.
just transition, but because there's other projects we have. We're in the climate change consortium that we gathered last year, and we got granted by a company. And we have meetings like 2 or 3 times a month, and we gather 2 or 3 times a year with other groups that are doing climate change activities, and um, we're trying to support them because they are working very, very hard and they're kind of exhausted. So, from our experience, we want to help them. Um, you should be more kind to yourself or with your and I think we had a very good progress last year too. This is our, I guess, third year. Yeah, this is our third year. We have the climate CCAC is climate. Let me see. Community climate community. I forgot. The last one is consortium, and we have that kind of group activity. And I think a lot of projects spread it out because we work together with other groups, and we know each other so much, and that's a good one example that we've been doing, and we have a very good community or group there too, and we're helping other climate change groups and having training or have that event that they feel more warm and secured. Uh,
Yeah. like probably maybe two last questions before we end the whole interview. So,
Okay.
if you are asked to share like one message with the people who are watching this, what would it be?
Is it transition people? I
Like
guess.
people watching this in general. It doesn't have to be strictly about transition. Yeah.
Well, but well, since I started doing this transition movement, uh I wanted to use my energy to uh protect and to be more careful about the environment and to help people. But I think I had so much more gifts from other people from transition. So my life was saved and also enriched by this activity. So I maybe you don't have that kind of a very fast result, or something very you know something very big that changed, and maybe small changes, but it will, I think, change yourself, your inside, more, and your life will be more meaningful and also satisfying, I think, doing this movement. So I encourage you not to stop, but maybe it's good sometimes if you stop, but not giving up. I think we get a lot of gifts doing this, I guess, not just outputting. I think we have a lot of inputs too. So I encourage a lot of people, and I respect all those people who are doing this.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was really wonderful what you just said. Yeah. And probably one last thing is that if you are asked to maybe ask a question for our next interviewee, what question do you want to ask?
Mm, let me see.
Yeah, ideally we'll be interviewing people who started or initiated some kind of transition group. Yeah.
Okay. I can ask what is the happiest moment of your life, or what do you do? What do you really, really want to do? What makes joy to you, what you're doing? And just um remember, or think about that. And I think if that good energy, and if they like doing that, I want to know what they want to what are the things that they like to do or they love to do? What is
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great question because the project we are doing is called People of Transition. We are really trying to like capture the people behind different projects. And yeah, that's probably the end of the session. And thank you so much again for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate this. And personally, I really appreciate the amazing work that you put into doing the transition. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, Anu?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Thank you so much again and hope you have a lovely night.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.